We are live, Sunday edition, May 1st, 2022. Me and Dennis got carried away and we were literally starting the conversation behind the stage and we should have just started right away. We're discussing, what we could talk about in today's show and things were getting pretty good. I liked where Dennis was going with the discussion, so I was like, "All right, we got to start this
So let
so we
me
don't lose
just
any steam."
set the stage for everyone. This is going to be a little bit of a different discussion than what Sneed and me normally when I'm on his show. It's not really a news reporting kind of deal, more of a thought provoking exercise. And everybody that's watching this video, I want you guys to comment along too, because I'd love to hear your feedback when we discuss things. With that being said, I'm going to start off with the original point, which was now more than ever at any point in history, wireless has become more and more similar to traditional telecom, and traditional telecom has become more and more similar with wireless. And the thought that I had was on the wireless side is what if wireless MNOs were to actually provide like phones sort of like a rental, like your gateway from your typical ISP, or include it in your plan to ensure that you at least have a good network experience and could have access to the full suite of spectrum. And specifically, when I was generating this question, I was thinking of Dish, since they have a standalone network and would be most impacted by phone incompatibility. Sneed, your thoughts?
It's good. It's a good thought process. I was thinking about some of the things that you mentioned backstage. What'd you mention? It was the phones, the equipment setups. How do they distinguish themselves? And like I was kind of mentioning how like they haven't really turned over all of the potential, rocks. Have you tried everything? Have you done everything? Have you exhausted all your ideas? I think there's a lot left that whether it's an MNO or MVNO is still untapped. And I also think that things are going to be changing in the near future. So like as of right now, Dennis, you're probably right. There's ways to get a traditional mobile network plan identical to postpaid. You could do it through prepaid, and with MVNOs. But I think moving forward, I think the MNOs like Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T and Dish especially,
So you're
they'll be
touching
able
on
to.
that second topic, which we'll touch on. I'm talking more about your idea when you talked about Dish providing equipment to boost signal, for example, and
Okay,
that.
so that's kind of where I was going with this. So this specific angle is one of the things that I think that carriers have neglected to attack is analyzing customer experiences. Okay, so a family has 5 lines on unlimited data plans and their home is a fringe signal area. Like I'm talking RSRP minus 19, minus 119. What does that mean for you as a user? You are likely off of midband. You are probably on low band exclusively. The capacity is limited. The signal quality is suspect. So, what could they do with the data that they've been collecting on your device? Well, if you want to make it meaningful, analyze that data. Say, look, the signal is weak here for this family. Let's check this map. Let's see what we could do. Let's send them some hardware. Let's install some hardware to improve their signal. And I'm not just talking about like an actual like home internal like booster.
Put
I'm
up a
talking
damn
about like
small cell.
actually installing something legitimate and at no cost, nothing they have to pay, but it would enhance the signal for the surrounding area like the block, the neighborhood. So it would help several homes also. The thing about it is this: if the carriers only simply look at it from a micro level, bottom line, this is going to cost us money. We're going to have to send out a technician. No, we don't want to do it. Therein lies the issue with traditional mobile network thinking. They have to get out of that thinking because as of right now, all the carriers are the same. They all do things exactly the same. Who's going to come in and actually change the user experience? That's innovation. There's nothing left to innovate when it comes to plan prices. Give or take 5%, Dennis, who cares? Pete, you get what I'm saying? Like, who cares about 5%? It's not that big of a deal. But
Prices only matter if you're paying too much for bad service.
But Pete, my process is this. Verizon has been the most expensive for 20 years. And here
Yeah,
we are
and they
today.
also have good
Hold on, Pete.
coverage.
Hold on, Pete. And over the 20 years, they have accumulated 140 million postpaid subs, and that shit is not changing, dog.
Nope.
So
You get
clearly,
some
price is
churn.
not that big of a deal.
You get some churn, but it's not going to really eat into the number. Hey, Santiago, thank you for the super chat. $20. You, sir, are a generous man. Saying, hey, Sneed and Deadness. Guess I'm not included. Ready for another great podcast. Hope you both are having a good weekend.
Pete, I think you were in with this before you signed on.
Yeah, he put down another chat. Hey Pete, hope things are good. Yeah,
Hey, so
my
Sneed, really
birthday's tomorrow.
Happy
Doing
birthday,
nothing.
Pete.
happy birthday, Pete. Sneed, so really quickly though, as far as pricing goes, I 80% agree with you about pricing. People Pricing is important to get someone to get on your phone and get them in the door, but ultimately people are going to buy what they want, and as long as the value is there, they're going to internally justify that purchase thereafter. That being said, there is a limit on how high you can charge, especially when it becomes a commodity service. And by a commodity service, I mean what you touched on, which is how all networks are doing the same thing. Once it reaches that level of commodity and you don't have a unique differentiating factor anymore, it becomes harder to justify premium pricing. But yes, I generally agree with your premise there.
We have Archie Mobile in the chat saying, the way to improve plans is to finally include free international calling. That does not sound as is not as easy as it sounds, by the way.
I think it would be an improvement to plans. The problem is who does it actually impact? Does it impact the broader audience, or is it a niche impact? And I would say that falls more in the niche categorization of maybe affecting 1 in 5 customers in the US.
It is niche, and one thing to consider is there would have to be a change in a UN telecom agency that sets the price to connect voice data over those undersea fiber or those satellite transmissions to go point to point. So the reason why it costs, say, me 5 cents a minute to call France, and I end up spending, $5-10 there per call, is because it costs money for my company to connect over there and them to connect to the person I'm calling. So if we want unlimited international calling for everyone, that's something that would have to happen globally. And there are a lot of countries where the cell phones are 3 times more expensive to connect to because the cell companies charge a premium to connect to a cell line. So,
But Pete, did you have anything you wanted to touch on in regards to the original thought process about either a carrier providing equipment similar to how traditional ISPs do, or providing some type of network extender or booster?
I'm going to say that if a cell company has a customer who legitimately has an issue where they are, they only have two options. If it's a large area where the customer has a dead spot, they have to put up another radio, throw up a tower. If
Small
it's
cell something.
I'm saying a macro.
Damn. All right.
But if it's a confined area, like within like 4 or 5 blocks, that's when you do the small cell. So I'm saying that if, say, Dennis mentioned this Friday before I jumped on, with, some Sprint customers might be leaving T-Mobile due to service issues. If you have a dead zone for an area that large, you put up a new tower site. But if it's an issue on small scale, you put up a small cell.
Yeah, but the reason why I like Sneed's suggestion about, because I wasn't even thinking about this, I was just focused strictly on phones because of all the new bands and stuff like that. But the reason why I particularly like Sneed's suggestion is that both macros and small cells require permitting and require backhaul to be ran. Whereas with Sneed's suggestion, you can either boost a macro that's somewhat in range and improves signal quality to the point where it's usable, or just rely on the customer's backhaul and doesn't require any type of trenching or permitting or anything like that. You're bypassing all those complications that slow things down. And when that person leaves, they just return the booster and you're good to go.
In my
Yep.
opinion, if they have to do a booster to fix a small area thing, relying on a customer's backhaul, they should be giving the customer a bill credit because these boosters are not like house only. I've had people turn on boosters for Sprint, their Sprint phone for T-Mobile across the street, and when they did that, I was getting 100 down on band 66. So for boosters, it's not personal infrastructure. You're just doing it on a smaller scale than a small cell would cover.
And while I am a big supporter of giving a credit for that, especially with the world that we live in where there's data caps, I'm just saying we need to at least get to the first step. I mean, right now, the only carrier that offers boosters for free still is T-Mobile, and it's a very outdated one.
Oh yeah,
AT&T makes you buy it, and I think Verizon's only booster is a 3G booster, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
it
they got
is.
LT boosters.
When did they do that?
I don't know. They offered me one like a year ago for no reason. They're like, "Hey, we'd like to send you this booster. It's made by Samsung. I think it does band 13." I was like, "Nah, I'm good.
By the way, shout outs to Daryl J with the
Thanks,
$10
Daryl."
super chat. Says nothing, but your generosity is appreciated.
Oh, here it is. Is there
Yeah,
any update for AT&T for C-band in Chesapeake, Virginia? Man, I wish I could offer you something, man, but AT&T simply does not disclose much. You know, like
uh,
with Verizon, we can get something of a coverage map that shows that it's either there or it's coming. But with AT&T, we don't get much.
I can't
AT&T
even
keeps their
ask. I can't even ask my friends in the FirstNet alliance.
Right.
AT&T keeps their lips shut tighter than freaking Apple does with new iPhone releases. It's hard to
Right.
get information.
By the
But
way, they're releasing a new iPhone that is only a marginal upgrade with the same stupid notch later this year.
I'm aware, but I don't want to talk about that right now. What I do want to talk about is the other little thought-provoking exercise, since I think we beat this one, which is I posed the question to Sneed behind the scenes, and I'm going to pose it to you as well, Pete. But have we reached the point where nobody should really be getting MNO providers? By that I mean, has the value proposition and the pricing proposition difference reached a certain climax now that it doesn't make sense and you should just go with the prepaid options like Cricket, like US Mobile for Verizon, and T-Mobile prepaid?
Depends on your use case.
Right.
Well,
So,
what justification can you give to go with postpaid at this point?
business plans?
Let's focus strictly on residential consumers.
Consumer. Well, I'll tell you what, Dennis, my expectation for next gen networking, like 2023, I'm ready for it. I think Pete probably feels the same. You know, I don't know, Dennis, you can kind of, because I know you're framing the question, but I think that the network slicing that we're going to be seeing with next gen networks, I think there's going to be an MVNO slice. And I think that
Oh,
MVNO slice is probably going to put them in a box
Sneed?
where they're getting like latencies in like the 20s and 30s. Meanwhile, the rest of the postpaid stuff like Pete's account, my accounts, you know, your account, that stuff is because you're on postpaid. I think you're going to be seeing, you know, the best latencies, the lowest jitters, the best priority, the most bandwidth. You know, it's going to be a better experience on the MNO.
Sneed, I'm going to short circuit you a little right there.
All right, go ahead, Pete.
There is no if, it's one.
Okay, so we're on the same page.
But yeah,
So
literally, the question for getting, say, a Metro by T-Mobile slice is not if T-Mobile is going to roll it out. The question is, when are they going to roll it out? And on these slices, this is probably going to piss a bunch of people off.
I know where you're going with this.
And give a justification for postpaid. You're going to get video resolution caps.
Right.
so
So
let
it's
me
like
try to
you're on Verizon without the ultra wideband right now.
So let me try to like defend my little point, like to play devil's advocate here on the panel. The reason that I had this thought, this like little thought, this shower thought, we'll call it, is that with the exception of AT&T Elite, AT&T Unlimited Elite, you can get priority access on these prepaid options. Like I mentioned, Cricket specifically. Like Cricket has the same priority on their unlimited plan as Extra from AT&T. US Mobile.
No.
No.
QCI 8 maybe, but they're not giving them 7.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's the exception of AT&T Elite.
Ah, okay, got you. Okay.
And that's why I specifically framed it as unlimited extra.
Okay, now I got you. Yeah, go ahead.
So Cricket has the same priority on their unlimited plan as AT&T Extra. US Mobile, Xfinity Mobile, Spectrum Mobile all have the same postpaid access as like regular Get More and Play More plans from Verizon. And T-Mobile prepaid, because T-Mobile kind of has a quote-unquote dumb network, has the same priority as Magenta and Magenta MAX. There's no discerning difference between the two. And Verizon has removed value from their plans with the streaming services. We know T-Mobile's increasing pricing on postpaid, and same thing has been happening along the AT&T side of things. So what specific thing in the present, not future predictions, in the present justifies paying the premium for postpaid?
I think it's the customer. I think it's the customer care piece. I can call Verizon and pretty much call my shots. Long-standing postpaid customer, long-term account. The QCI is high. Any discounts. I'm getting home internet. I'm getting 50% off of that. There's just certain things that you take for granted that maybe you don't even know are there, and they're to your advantage. Now, if you can simplify your use case, yeah, Dennis, if you're aware of those MVNOs, if you're aware of the US Mobiles of the world, yeah, you can save some money. And there's certain perks there, and then there's things you probably don't need, so you can work around those. But I'm very satisfied being on postpaid and knowing what's coming down the pipeline. I'm just looking at it as, why would I want to downgrade when I'm very satisfied with what I have, and I use pretty much everything I have.
So Aaron chimed in with a comment. He said device payments. So interestingly enough, that's an argument that's becoming less and less like a reason to go postpaid, because US Mobile does device financing through Affirm. Xfinity does internal device financing. Cricket
T-Mobile does it for Affirm.
Yep. So device financing is no longer like a postpaid exclusive kind of thing. And then as far as you talked about QCI access, but again, with the exception of AT&T Elite, the QCI in these examples is the same. Customer service. I can't speak for customer service like you have, Sneed. I mean, for me personally, my customer service experience with T-Mobile hasn't been that attractive. I mean, it's a mixed bag of chips. I'll say it like that. It's a mixed bag of chips when it comes to T-Mobile postpaid customer service. And I'd honestly make the argument that the MVNO operators that I mentioned, specifically US Mobile especially, I would say they probably offer some of the best customer service interactions, better than any of the postpaid carriers in telecom.
Well, typically, when you step down to prepaid or MVNO, you lose a lot in customer care. So if postpaid customer care is bad, then typically prepaid is the worst. It's like difficult. Like, you got to be ready to do things on your own, and you got to try to minimize contact with customer care, because it's not going to be fun. Let me get to some super chats real quick here.
I'll have you take that one.
Okay. Darian, thanks for the super chat. Sneed, talk to us about AT&T C-band and the CLE. Darian, I think you are a Patreon supporter. I will be posting my first log of the AT&T C-band testing for N77. I think you're going to love it. It's really, really good. I'm very encouraged. The range, the speeds, super good for just launching on just a handful of sites, I believe, in Cleveland. Plus, I also want to test a couple more sites, so I'm going to check them out, see if they're on, and then I can put together a video proper for you guys. But so far, so good. You're going to love what you see and hear. Videos are incoming, and patrons will get the first dibs on that.
Next super chat is from Jason D for $2. Thank you so much for your generosity, Jason D. Says
you.
Google Fi has priority on T-Mobile too, right?
No.
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 It depends on the plan, I think.
Maybe,
No.
But I mean, I've seen some speed tests. It's like, if you have T-Mobile proper, you're on N41, you're getting like 500-600, and then on Google Fi, it's like 180.
You get service and you can connect, and generally it's a good connection, but you're not getting a fast capacitive connection.
That would be a Stetson question. Stetson would know the answer.
Yeah,
Maybe I
I've
should
been
call him
following.
and ask him.
You know what we should do? Let's go ahead and shout out Tito, TiOS, his YouTube channel moderators. If you could link that, he's got a ton of Google Fi coverage, Google Pixel devices, Google Fi, Boost Mobile, all the prepaid MVNO stuff that he reviews. Great insight on it. He shares experiences, speed tests, does videos, discusses the plans, and also Google Fi's got a couple of plans, so I
Oh
think he's
yeah,
tried them all. So
I
yeah,
think they have three now.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They might have one for anybody, you know.
I don't get how Greg gets a human on Verizon customer care for business in under a minute.
It's because he has an enterprise plan.
Okay, that makes sense because sometimes when I've called Verizon for people, 2 hours later I finally get someone.
Thanks, Kimon. Appreciate you sharing that link. Thank you.
Anyway, those were just two thought-provoking things. One of them came up because of Stetson's video that he posted a couple days ago on how to pick a wireless provider I watched on his main channel, and then the other one was just a thought-provoking exercise. We can get into normal news now, talk if you want. I know you had some topics lined up.
Yeah, good idea, Dennis. I love the process. It forces you to have to evaluate the choice that you make for which carrier and which plan you have. And if there's ways to save money or actually get what is appropriate for use, sometimes people just settle, Dennis.
Yep.
So I'm kind of glad you brought that up. That was a great topic. We got a super chat from MS, Pete.
Yep. MS with a $2.71 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity, MS. And we actually jumped right on this one. It says, lately I have seen more AT&T roaming on Google Fi.
What? That's a thing?
What?
That's definitely not a thing.
That's not a thing.
I wonder if it's where you have no T-Mobile and T-Mobile starts roaming on AT&T. That is crazy.
That would be the only answer that makes sense, but it's to the best of my knowledge, it's not a thing.
They used to have calling on Verizon when Sprint would lose service and there was no native T-Mobile.
So on T-Mobile for Business, I've found some random locations where I still roam on AT&T.
That is all of Nevada for T-Mobile. Anywhere T-Mobile doesn't have service out in Nevada, you're roaming on AT&T.
How do I get such good speeds? No saying, hey, you're going over the limit though.
I don't know how you're getting good speeds. T-Mobile caps the domestic roaming at like 3G.
It's probably the business plan.
Got a happy birthday wish from Bobby, Pete.
I've been saying thanks for the happy birthday for many people.
Hey, Pete, how old are you turning, by the way, big man?
17.
42.
Ah, snap. Are you about to go Breaking Bad on us?
Pete
No.
Eisenberg.
Anyway, you had some topics in the title, Sneed. I'd love to hear what you had lined up for us. You're always very thorough and prepared when it comes to topics.
Well, it's loaded.
Man,
I wanted
hold up. Jason D with a $300 bomb. Thank you so much, Jason D.
What?
Sorry, what?
I roamed on AT&T on Google Fi last Christmas in Pennsylvania near San Maries. $300 super chat.
What?
Jesus. Oh my God, I see it. Oh my God, Jason. My man. Holy Toledo. You're about to have to buy Yasmin a nice car when she turns 16, Sneed.
Are you guys serious?
Dude,
yeah.
He's being dead serious. It's in red. The new color for me to see in the super chat space. Jason D.
Sneed, if you don't believe me, check your text messages.
You got to go on the YouTube. Dude, I have the YouTube open up in a separate browser. It's there. It didn't show for some reason in Restream, but it's there, dude. It's in a red color. $300 absolute bomb. Jason, I hope that wasn't like a misclick of an extra zero or something, man. I mean, if it was, I mean,
Jason, yeah, man, way too much. If that was a mistake, just go ahead and do a chargeback on that, bro. No worries. no concerns. It just
And
yeah,
and
don't
then send a $15.
yeah.
Oh, he did make a comment. He said I hit an extra 0.
Oh, okay, yeah. Go ahead and do a chargeback on that, man. That is completely just, you know, very very easy mistake to make. So
Yeah, man. No,
no
no
worries.
sweat, man.
We still got love for you, man. We still appreciate all that you do. Go ahead and charge that back and make it right, man.
We got
Is there a way for you to manually just refund it for him, Sneed, or no?
I don't think so, but I will check to see if there's something I could do for him.
we
That'd be
got Kevin O'Donovan saying keep up the great work and information with a $2 super chat as well.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate
Thank you,
man.
Kevin.
But anyway, Sneed, you were saying you had low hanging something. I'm sorry for the
What?
topics.
Yeah. So loaded topics. Like I put the carriers, obviously T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, and Dish, but I also left it up to handhelds and mobiles. So like if you guys want to discuss the the remainder of the year for smartphone technology and processors and camera technologies for some of these phones, we got the new iPhone coming out in the fall. Google's got probably Google I/O coming up. They're going to have their A series updated, and then Galaxy. We don't know what's left, but we anticipate some foldables. I'm excited for the Pixel Watch.
I want a
I
Pixel
wanted to
Watch.
discuss it, Pete. I thought you might be interested. I don't know if you're a watch guy, but some
I
people.
saw the leaks for it. It was found like just chilling at like a restaurant or something, and
But that was like a slug.
But actually, I have a proposition because I want to spin something on its head real fast. I don't think it'll take long to talk about. But before we get into the future of phones, do we want to talk about the Galaxy S22 lineup, its launch, and what we think of the phone now that it's been a few months?
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's do that.
So, I mean, I'll just come out and say the Galaxy S22 lineup, as someone that has the Ultras, was a little rocky. When it first came out, for me personally, I know Carlos experienced this too, but the phone wasn't actually a very good performer. It was very like stuttery. And I'm happy to report some software updates have definitely improved the experience, and that the wireless connectivity from it has definitely been probably the best you can get in a smartphone, I would say. Mainly because of the incredible performance at Cell Edge and Mid Cell compared to last year's X60 modems. Sneed, what are your thoughts? I think you have one, don't you?
Yeah, two things. The S22 line of devices, powerhouse devices, the most important thing when phones come out is we acknowledge that they might not be perfect, but they need to get better with each update. And those updates have to come in very regularly to make it right. So in the case of like the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, they needed so many updates in order for them to be right that literally in the last month, I can now officially, with confidence, recommend that those two devices.
I'd be
Prior to
hesitant on a
that,
recommendation there, Sneed.
prior to that, I would say that they were a work in progress and they required more updates. And the worst part about these updates, as long as they're swift, as long as they're rapid and regular, it's not really that big of a deal because you might have to just wait a month or two or three, and then you could purchase the device. Like you keep up with your, YouTube creators that cover it. You can ask around the communities on Twitter and such. But like those updates are crucial because the phones are flawed. They're not finished products. That's what updates are for. But the guarantee from the carrier or the guarantee from the manufacturer is that they provide timely updates and frequent updates to make it right.
I must say, with my Pixel 6, I was a little on the rocks with the Bluetooth integration. When every time I had to reconnect my Fossil 2 watch, when the battery died, I had to delete the profile in the Wear OS app and then repair the watch. I am happy that as of February it stopped doing that. And in my opinion, at that point it became a largely solid phone.
I guess I'm gonna be the odd man out here. Pixel 6, as you're talking about, that is interesting. When it came out, it was pretty solid. Then the
Yep.
updates made it worse. And now we're back to being sort of like where we're at with start, but I would still argue in a worse off situation.
Hey,
And
There was another bad experience actually that I encountered with the 6 Pro, and it was if I moved over my Wi Fi profile from my 5, I had Wi Fi connectivity issues until I deleted all my saved Wi Fi profiles.
But continuing my thought, and the reason why that's very concerning is because typically speaking with smartphones, right? The typical trajectory is you get the phone, it's blazing fast, a few updates fix minor things, it gets better, it's good for a couple years. Then the phone starts to slow down with like progressive updates thereafter. Pixel took a weird trajectory here. Like the first
Yep.
few updates that came out made it literally worse. And
I
I'm
think that
sort of
says a lot about the processor. What do you think, Dennis?
man, I don't even know,
This
man.
is an interesting processor to compile for.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. I mean, I don't know enough about like what like it's an ARM-based processor, so in theory it shouldn't be that different, but Pete would probably be wiser when it comes to compiling and coding for this specific chiplet.
So, when it comes to. I'm going to do a whiteboard on this for when it comes to compiling
Ooh,
for different
famous whiteboard.
processors. What do I have there? Oh, yeah, we can get that. But first off, super chat from Green9227. Thank you, Green, for your generosity. He's wondering, do we think that T-Mobile will ever carry or aggregate N77 with N41? No. They're going to carry or aggregate N77 with N7. So, let's see, where's my eraser fluid? So, when compiling for a processor, by the way, this is going back to something I picked up in an electrical engineering class, because, of course, electrical engineering talks about how processor works.
Hey, real quick, Pete, or sorry, not Pete, Sneed, can you make it so that our camera boxes are actually on the right-hand side of the screen instead of being like covering up Pete here? There you go. I think that might be better.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
So,
also, well, sorry, one more thing. I know we have green super chat, but just for the time being, can you take it off the screen just to make sure that people can see Pete's screen? I promise, screen. We'll get to it. There we go.
when you compile for CPU on a platform, you have a bunch of opcodes that you're running. Actually, this is just F2F for simplicity. And for Qualcomm, you may have a pop here at 0. Maybe a pull here, store, reg read, things like that. And in general, this is especially common in the Intels. When you went from a Pentium 1 to a Pentium 2, these codes all stayed the same. The typical processors in Androids are Qualcomm's, so you have these opcodes in general lining up for them. However, with the tensor chip in the Pixel 6 Pro and the Pixel 6 and 6A, there is a chance that over here randomly we have a secure read, but the opcode on that for Qualcomm might be pole antenna. And ideally, the way you optimize these, when it comes to compiling the processor code, is you would make the tensor as close to the Qualcomm as possible because Qualcomm is the most common. This is why AMD and Intel operate on x86, which came from Intel underscore 64, which it was a AMD hack to x86 code. So there are special operations in empty boxes for both Qualcomm and the Pixel 6 and the Tensor. And in some situations, a secure read might be going there, and it's up to the engineers to, well, no, the poll might be actually yielding a secure read, and it's up to the engineers to optimize the platform for secure read to happen in the proper spots. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
I'll have to rewatch this maybe one or two more times, but sure.
I get it. I get it, Pete. I mean,
I think I get the gist of it, though. I mean, basically, the TLDR is while the architectures of the core architecture itself, ARM, might be the same, the actual the instruction
Machine
set,
code. Yeah.
the machine code for the instruction set might have a different sequential order for how operations are supposed to fall in. Apps that aren't specifically coded properly to handle that specific sequential read set might fall with outside the scope and thus operate in a funky manner.
Also, there are situations where, since the Pixel 6 has built in machine learning on it, and the average phone from 2 years ago doesn't, certain function calls in, say, the G keyboard, the Google keyboard, the default one on the Pixel, for doing predictive text would have to do a completely different function. And then you have yourself compiling two different versions. Because the Pixel 3, the intuition is cloud native, which is a TCP call. And on the Pixel 6, the intuition is local, which is a restricted machine learning call.
hey, we got a super chat from Green. Thanks, Green.
Yep. Thanks again.
Do you
It's
think
going to
that?
be, I called this out, Sneed. It's going to be
Okay.
N77 and N7.
Oh, you think it'll have to wait till it gets the switches on the mode?
Um, the expectation is they're going to be largely done with switching from TDD to FDD by the time they're ready to deploy the N77 panels.
Okay,
I hope
so
you're right.
you're implying that this would be ready Q1 of next year. That means they're ready to switch the N41 mode next year?
Yep,
Oh, sheesh. Okay. Well,
depending on the market.
here's the thing, though. Let me tell you guys why this is important. T-Mobile spent a ton of money on C-band. Both auctions, they spent the most per megahertz pop. They're ready
They
to use this stuff
also
too, man.
they also they also bought in the largest pops, the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
So for those of you going, oh my god, T-Mobile's congested, they know it, and they spent billions trying to
Mhm.
fix it.
Yeah. I got to give the carriers props. They are spending money on Spectrum. That is fact.
Hey,
Yeah, but can I say something as a hot take?
Yeah.
T-Mobile's problem, in my opinion, isn't a Spectrum problem.
Backhaul.
T-Mobile's problem, yes, is a backhaul issue because
Well, this guarantees they'd have to upgrade the backhaul, right, Dennis?
yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Spectrum, which an idiot would know that we're always going to be demanding more of compared to backhaul. Spectrum comes up for grabs once in a crapshoot. Backhaul, you can work on it around the crapshoots.
Yeah.
I'm aware. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that right now, T-Mobile's biggest issue isn't getting more spectrum on sites. It's upgrading backhaul on sites where they put 100 and 140 megahertz N41 respectively to actually
Yeah.
achieve the speeds.
But Pete's right about one thing. We look at spectrum as okay, so it's generational in a sense, meaning with every generational upgrade to networking, we've seen spectrum auctions, right? So like the move towards 4G, we got low band auctioned. The move towards like LT plus, we got AWS auctions. The
Yep.
move towards 5G, millimeter wave and C band, like it was all kind of like coming together. So like Pete, would you say like networking is in like 3 to 5 year generation time?
Networking. What do you mean by networking?
Like mobile networking is in like 3 to 5 year generation gaps.
Um,
Cuz like that's how I look at it. Like
in the U.S., the gaps are based on what the carriers say they're planning, which they do report to the FCC annually, and what the FCC is able to uh, lease to them to offset the pain points they're expecting.
cuz I would guess, and this is just completely an estimate, speculative on my part, that in the major PEAs, the major markets like top 100, upgrading backhaul wouldn't take more than 5 to 6 months. Meanwhile, spectrum may only come around every 2 to 3 years.
Um,
I
Spectrum is largely one and done in a lot of cases.
Yeah, so when it comes to spectrum, like going back to your generations piece real fast, there will never be an instance where we see low band coming up again. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, but it's not needed.
The,
Wait, Dennis. There is a situation when we would see low band coming um, up again.
and that is
If the FCC hears the carriers whining and complaining about building penetration, and then they decide to get rid of my channels 28 through 32.
but the long and short of it is low band will probably never be going up again. Once these mid band auctions are done for 5G, they're probably never going to be coming up again. 6G is going to be all millimeter wave focused, essentially, right? So I do agree with you on that sentiment. However, what I disagree with is that networking is like a 3 to 5 year process, because we do see smaller auctions typically come up in more frequent and higher frequency, just not for the large swaths of spectrum that we're used to seeing, like with like C band and Andromeda as it was coined, and also that there's a
Nicknamed.
lot nicknamed, and also there's a lot of work that still needs to be done throughout those timeframes to even make it into a usable state. And backhaul, as far as 6 months goes, um, I also disagree with that, honestly. Even in urban settings, backhaul improvements can take years because of slow permitting processing and the complexities of dealing with local municipalities. I mean,
Can't anymore though. There's
well,
FCC rules now.
just last year, remember we talked about how Pittsburgh apparently was cock blocking AT&T.
They can
Remember?
they can take them to trial on that. They can go to court for that. They can sue.
Yeah, but how long is it going to take to go through litigation, everything like that, to win the court
A few
case?
months. A few months. I mean, it's serious now. Like that FCC ruling a few years ago was pretty big. It's different now, which I'm glad, Dennis. Like it's a that is a horrible way to prevent networks from progressing.
Hmm. Fair enough. Do you want to answer Aaron's question, by the way? And then I saw another comment I want to touch on here.
Yeah, sure. Are there any prepaid MVNOs that support watch plans outside of Visible? Because my grandparents want a prepaid option that supports those devices. They want a lower bill and keep the watch plans. Dennis, do you know of any? You're pretty close to the plans.
Not as close to Stetson, but I know Xfinity Mobile, since we're talking about Verizon carriers specifically here.
Right.
So Xfinity Mobile would be an option.
So, your flavor of the cable cartel.
Yes. Although, can I just say something really quickly? And I'd love to hear your take on this, Sneed.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with me when I say that the cell phone service being provided by the quote unquote cable cartel is almost like a totally separate company spinoff with how it's operated?
Kind of, yeah.
Because, like, in all sincerity, like, everything about it is holistically different from the traditional cable playbook. Like, there's no explosive pricing on the cell phone things. There's no contracts.
Which I'm kind of surprised. Well, there is a contract.
There is no contract.
You got to be with them to get the phone.
Right.
You
That's
gotta
a limitation,
be with them.
not a contract.
Well, you got to be with them to get the cell phone service, but you don't have to be with them afterwards to keep the cell phone service. That being said, you lose on the discount.
If you get the quote-unquote free phone through monthly bill credits, which I'm assuming big cable offers, you're locked in with them on contract, but you're getting a bill credit to keep you online.
Yeah, but that's not a contract. A contract implies an early termination fee, and plus, that's also what T-Mobile and Verizon do.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Contracts are a different name. It's called phone financing.
Yes, but you know what I meant. Let's not play semantics.
I'm actually surprised that Xfinity Mobile doesn't jack up your bill $20 after the first 2 years.
Well, I mean,
it has Xfinity in the name.
But it's about intention. We talked about this before, but cable companies didn't go into the cell phone game with the thought process of, let's make this the most profitable thing. They went in as a retention play to keep it on the more profitable internet service. But anywho, Aaron, I hope that answered your question, and I highly encourage checking out bestphoneplans.net that Stetson works on, because I'm sure he has other options there for you that I'm probably not thinking of. But there was a comment that came in at 2151 from Gallup Properties. He said he's excited about Fidium Fiber. So, Sneed, while we were talking, I Google searched them. Have you heard of Fidium Fiber before, Sneed?
No, I don't think so.
Neither have I until I Google searched them. Apparently, though, they're expanding. They're expanding out into California, Illinois, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and Texas. And they're already in Maine, Vermont, and what was the other one? Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire. They're already in. I just wanted you to look at them and tell me what your thoughts were. They're offering gig for $70 a month for a 1-year rate, and then $95 a month thereafter. They're offering $250 for $60 and then $85 a month after the year. And they're offering 50 meg for $35 and $55 after the year. What are your thoughts?
It's fine. I'm just glad people are getting fiber options. So I call that a win. And then who knows, maybe there's other competitors that come to the table and bring their services, and it could drive pricing down. In and of itself, the pricing is not cheap, but if they go to places where they don't have fiber, then I'd say that's a good service.
Would you consider them over AT&T if they came to you?
AT&T's got better pricing.
What you're paying what for gig again? I'm sorry.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a considerable difference of about 30 or 40%.
Yeah.
So if it was a little closer and I had a falling out with AT&T, then most definitely.
Yeah, but they basically paid your bill for like 10 years, didn't they?
1 year.
Only a year with that much bill credits?
It was like $1,000.
Let's see, how much do I pay in a year?
It was $1,000, so I guess I'll be...
Damn, that's $100. That's a little less than $100 a month.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Pete? Okay. My wife took the gift cards, bro. That's why I don't have that. So like, they gave me, I think it was $250 in gift cards.
Sneed, they were your wife's gift cards.
I know that. I'm married. I know how these things work. Pete knows.
Yeah.
So before I go on my little side tangent, Carlos, those $199 like phone subsidy deals weren't that good either, because when you went into them, AT&T would raise your actual line by line cost on the plan until the phone was paid off. So either way, they got their money.
Hey, I didn't have that on Singular, Bell Atlantic, or Verizon.
But AT&T did it. I remember it fondly. But
I don't think fond's the right word. Are you sure you don't have Stockholm syndrome?
I'm being sarcastic about it, but anyway, I have a little side tangent since we were just talking about fiber real quick. So I was being less of a hermit than I normally am and talking to my neighbors to get them to sign some forms and signing their forms for a deck to get built. And
Wait. You need to talk with your neighbors to build a deck?
Yes, because I'm in an HOA and there's permitting and
That's horrible. I build a deck by digging holes and pouring concrete.
You still have to do a permit with the local municipality. Anyway, not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation
I love my permitting with my city annex.
Anyway, my point of the conversation was while I was out there, I noticed something interesting when I was behind their houses. And one was that more people are getting Fios, which is great. But the second
which
thing
means
is,
your speeds are going to tank.
Not if they do their job right. But but the thing that I found more interesting was how inconsistent the installation was for Verizon. So every house that has Comcast, it was the same freaking install. It looked clean. It looked right. Verizon, they have runs where it's just above the ground, not buried at all. Other ones,
you gotta go down 6 feet so the crappy fiber doesn't freeze.
Other ones, they actually were smart and actually used the conduit, which I don't understand why Verizon didn't use the conduit for my house because that's what the builders put in. Right. And that's the smartest, cleanest install.
Yep.
And then the most jankiest one has the line like running through some bushes, just like all over the place. I mean, like literally all
that's gonna break in a year.
I'm aware. All it's gonna take is one of those little machines right now that's been running through the back to build other houses, just to freaking plow right through it to destroy the fiber lining.
No. Even less human close than that. If it's going through the bushes and it's like up around the bushes, the growth of the bush itself can cause the line to break.
Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is that Verizon astonishes me with their stupidity. It's actually really infuriating. Like, I'm glad that my install works and it's buried, but like it can never be buried again. And I'm glad that I had to pay $160 to get it actually ONT moved inside. But holy shiza, like they know for a fact they're going to get called out again. Like they have to know that when you do it incorrectly, it's going to break, as Pete touched on, and you're going to have to send another technician out. Like that has to be known, right?
So the way my fiber got installed is they put the ONT inside. They asked me where I want to put it, and they cut the Comcast line, stuffed it through, did some insulation to cover up where the line entry is, and then they ran it to where I wanted my ONT.
And can I just say real quick too, the thing that I find most hilarious is their way of not using the conduit actually requires more work. That's the kicker, Sneed. The conduit's already there. If they just use the conduit, they literally have to do nothing else. And yet they intentionally didn't use it.
So the way you install fiber is you dig like 3 to 6 feet down to keep it from freezing. Then you go up to the side of the house, and you put this insulated pipe that's running the fiber line down, and then you run it into the house with a box that's also insulated. But if you're just having it dangle outside, I don't know about Verizon, but I know about your winters. One bad winter day, that line's going to snap.
So, Pete, I have sad news for you.
What?
Even the one that they buried for me isn't as deep as you're talking about. It's only about maybe 6 to 8 inches under the ground.
What the hell? Are they using non-union labor?
Probably.
You know
pay
what?
to get it done, not pay to get it done right.
Do that, Jason. I'll review Google Fi and US Mobile. Absolutely.
Anyway, with that being
support eSIM?
Yes, they both support eSIM.
Let's do it.
Anyway, with that being said, I'm crossing my fingers that we can get another fiber provider to come to Pittsburgh. I'm glad that my Verizon's working, and I'm happy to have fiber at all. But I really like a company that's actually competent.
The way, Sneed, hibiscus.
Oh, nice, Pete. The sour kind?
Is there any other type?
Dude, some of the other stuff's pretty mellow, man. It's an herbal root of some sort. Well, not a root. It's a flower, actually.
It is a flower.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
like a tea?
yeah, it's an herbal tea that comes from this really bright, deep red colored flower, and it's antioxidant rich, and I guess it's supposed to help blood pressure. You could drink it warm or cold, and it's kind of sour actually. It's delicious.
Ooh, I would like to try some hibiscus. Is
Yeah,
that something I can buy?
it
Yeah.
is. Or I can send you some. I'll send you some, dog.
Realsies?
Yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You still owe me some shawarma, by the way, too.
I know, dude. Can we get shawarma?
Well, now that I'm done with my finals and we have time, when you're done in Pittsburgh next time, you can just bring it with you on the car ride.
That's right, bro.
But anyway, I just wanted to have a little side tangent because Verizon found a new way to surprise me with their other incompetence.
I got to make sure I write this down so I can make those purchases for those lines. Jason.
Oh, I'll bug you in text after this too.
All right, he won Google Fi.
I'll give you my referral code when you sign up for US Mobile. That way you can get 50% off or $10 off your order.
Which plan? The unlimited for Google Fi? Jason, let me know. Just let me know in the chat. And then the US Mobile, which plan?
Gotta go unlimited. It's the only option, man. You gotta do the unlimited.
All right, we'll do it. Yeah, eSIM makes it easier because I'll put one on the iPhone and I'll put one on the Pixel.
I'm testing out Airlu again. Airlu hooked us up with some eSIMs recently.
Put the Fi on the Pixel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Pete.
Yeah, but me and Stetson are testing out Airlu again. They reached out to us via email and hooked us up with some stuff to do some testing. They got roaming with AT&T, or at least that's what my phone's connecting on. And right now, it's not. I'll have to talk to them behind the scenes, but right now it's not performing too hot. My ping is like 600 milliseconds, and
what?
Yeah, I'm only getting like 70 meg, which for
with latency like that, dude, you're gonna.
But for comparison, my normal AT&T Elite plan is getting 250 by 80, and the Enterprise Blue plan that we get from our good friend, is getting like 300 by 100. So definitely interesting. But again, this is for testing purposes because they're experimenting.
All right, that's a bet, Jason. We'll definitely do that for you. All right, and I should be able to use some referrals. I might get Jose's referral. We'll do that, and then we'll do your US Mobile referral. That's great, man.
So
Awesome.
So this is going to be an updated Fi because what was it when the Pixel 4a came out? Google gave you, what was it, a 30-day trial?
They did, man, and it was pretty good. There wasn't that much N41 out like there is now. So,
hey Google, since we know you're monitoring this, can we get a Fi trial going?
That's right.
Hey, am I okay? I'm sorry. Did I tell you everything about Airlu? I can't remember if I was muted or not.
Man, I had never heard of this until you just mentioned it.
Okay, I guess I muted. Yeah, so they're like known for like international roaming across a bunch of places. It's actually a really cool premise. They reached out to me and Stetson once before to do some testing back when they were roaming on T-Mobile, and now we're testing on AT&T. And I was saying that my ping's like 600. I'm only getting like 70 meg down and like 20 up. For comparison, my normal AT&T Elite line is getting like 250 by like 60, and the enterprise plan from our good friend is getting like 250, 300 by like 100. So it's performing interestingly, and I'll definitely be reporting that because I'm sure they got some fine tuning to do with that. But
there's something I forgot to mention. With the most recent update to the Google Pixel 6 Pro, you may notice charging speeds are starting to slow down.
Yep.
In order to keep the phone from overheating.
Yep.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I've noticed.
I actually enjoy that.
Well, to be honest with you, Pete, like, the charging speed is fine. It's not really that big of an issue, but you will notice that it was charging faster before, but the phone was getting really hot.
Yeah.
So that's concerning because we know that heat is the enemy of lithium batteries.
Yep. So I'm actually happy with the closer. in general, I'm happy with slower charging speeds as long as it's on a trickle charge.
All right. Overnight, it'd
And
be a different story, right?
hey, that's the only time I charge my phone.
Oh, okay.
Hey, shout outs to Brad. Looks like you have 100 something next to your name. $2 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Says no good internet providers in my part of PA. That sounds like you're in PA.
Man, that is terrible, man.
I don't know
Yep.
why you say that, Pete. My state ranks like right, like in the upper part of the middle for broadband speed connectivity in the
Yes,
U.S.
in 3 zones.
It must be a really bad zone.
I mean, if he has Brad, I feel like I remember you saying you have cable internet, which means that can't be that bad. Can you answer what you have? I'd be curious.
Something tells me he's only got one viable broadband option. The other one is probably something awful.
He
Or
says,
you know, a
but you
bad
live in
company.
Pittsburgh. It's a big city.
Oh goodness! If Pittsburgh is defined as a big city, I'm curious. Oh,
Oh,
Yes,
he
it
says
is.
he lacks options. He's just got the one.
he's only got Xfinity, but Xfinity isn't bad though. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
but Xfinity by itself would be expensive if there's no other competitor.
Yep.
Expensive, but not bad.
Yeah, but what if you're the only one? You have no pressure to perform. So
That's
that means your drops will go bad, your infrastructure will be neglected, because where are they going
Dennis.
to go to?
To most people, expensive is synonymous with bad.
It does change the perception, man.
Which is why we're seeing so many people try fixed wireless because it might not be as performant, but for about $50 a month, if your only other options, over $100, and you don't really need the difference in speed, it's an attractive choice.
Also, we should define expensive really quickly. The most expensive price point you can pay with Xfinity in Pennsylvania is for their gig internet, and even at non-promotional pricing. I'm talking like the price that you would have like once you get out of your contract and everything. The most possibly expensive it could be is 130, and that's even with me pricing it for the modem rental.
Which is $15,
Right. So it'd be 115 if you own your own equipment.
which you can get, which you can buy on a credit card and hopefully
Yep,
no
Brad.
interest and pay
Brad said
off.
130 a month. Yeah, that's what I said, Brad. The most
Yeah.
expensive you can be is 130, which
So-
I would argue really quickly, because you're getting a gig internet connection, all things considered, isn't that bad in comparison to the fact that I think Cox charges how much, Sneed? How much does Cox charge?
The plans here start at $50 to get you 200 or 250 by 10.
That sounds like a promo price. I'm
And
talking like,
then,
yeah.
oh, like standard pricing, it'd probably to like $60.
That still sounds like promo pricing. But
What do you mean?
Cox is more expensive than that. I feel like Carlos was showing me
No,
like,
man. $60. If you go to gig speed, you're going up over 100.
yeah, like 150, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Oh, and then
130.
paying for the unlimited puts you up at $200, Dennis.
Yeah, so there's no data cap over here in Pennsylvania from Comcast. So 130, that's unlimited data. That's what I was
maybe in
getting
your
at.
market.
No, there's no data cap in the Northeast. It got, dude, our state attorney generals actually for once were useful and went ham on Comcast when they tried to enforce that data cap here.
So I'm about to turn into socialist Sneed. You guys ready for this?
Yes, please.
Home internet should be as an entry level tier, 100 megabit by 10. I'll just start there with an easy entry level price, $10 a month. All right, socialist Sneed in
100
the
by
house.
25.
Fine, Pete.
25.
Fine. Give him 25 uplink. Fine.
Yeah.
All right, and then everything should go up from there. So like you can get a 200 meg plan, you can get a 300 meg plan, and each tier goes up $5. Nobody should have to pay more than $50 a month, even for fiber at a gig speed. Gig symmetrical should be $50 a month. That's fair. Legit, bro. Like if you got to go 2
Go.
gig, 5 gig because you're doing whatever Dennis does, fine. Pete, whatever Pete does, fine. That can be $120. But like just Can we
Do
just mainstream this whole thing?
Yeah, do luxury charges for everything over a gig, and by doing that, we'll get servers to allow us to upload faster than 200 to 300 megs a second. Gilbert,
Sorry, real quick
what were you going to say?
before you do that, Fios would like to have a word with you. They actually charge $100 for their gigabit service. If you don't have any of their discounts or promos.
Yeah, and they're getting a lot of money in their they're making money in their financials because of that. So, if you're a shareholder in Verizon, you probably want that. So, Gilbert Entertainment with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Thanks.
Says Xfinity is way too expensive here. Changing to CenturyLink fiber within the month. By the way, you all can call me Gabriel instead of my last name because it's hard to say for some people.
It's not. It's Gellert, right?
Gellert?
I read it as Gillette, like Gillette.
Oh, maybe. Well, all right, Gabe. Got you,
Gabe.
bro. Thank you.
But yeah, compared to in his market, I believe the 500 meg Comcast connection, you're looking in the $90 to $95 range. And the CenturyLink fiber does a price for life lock in at 80. So good price, good lock in.
Well, by the way,
man.
I got a video coming out this week, Pete. I may have posted it to Patreon actually. US Cellular is about to start doing fixed wireless access over millimeter wave.
Yep.
But there's a problem.
They don't have millimeter wave?
They have millimeter wave. The problem, I believe, the speeds ain't gonna cut it, dog. It's not like Verizon millimeter wave. Not even close. And you know what the bottom line is. What makes millimeter wave fast, Pete?
Good backhaul.
Backhaul.
I don't think they're doing that, man.
So they're going the dish route?
They gotta at least be doing gigabit backhaul to it, right?
No. I don't think they are, dude. Like, I have real concerns about the viability of the service without legit backhaul. It's shocking, bro. Like, okay, after the show, I'm going to share it with you, Dennis, and then you give me your take. Pete, I'll tag you in it too. I am shocked that they are doing millimeter wave, and these are the speeds and the prices they're going to offer. You are going to literally be like, shove it. Seriously. Because maybe we're just spoiled. Like, we see Verizon doing 4 gig down and 380 up, and we're like, oh, this is what millimeter wave is. This is the gold standard. Everybody should be doing this. These speed tiers are going to shock you in like the worst kind of way.
I got 1.6 gigs on T-Mobile outside of the Flamingo.
On millimeter wave?
Yeah.
I was there with him, and I also.
That's pretty good. I have a hard time.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't complain with N41. I think in my market, it's just capacitive enough. And
hey, speaking of gold standards, real quick, by the way, I saw this on Twitter and I was tagged in it. Verizon's actually using C-band now for uplink on millimeter wave sites in Samsung markets.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Kevin asking the question: do you all think that MNOs raise price, MVNOs will have to raise pricing on their plans as well? I don't think so. That would be a personal decision, but they don't have to. Their contracts are in place.
Also, this is they sign service level agreements, so we may see price increases if the MNOs decide to raise the prices across the board after the agreements expire. But until the SLAs expire, you should not be seeing a price hike.
Also, Sneed, real quick, you said something earlier when you were talking about speeds. I just want you to know that even a dentist doesn't need multi-gig speeds. Just throwing it out there to you.
Well, we try to think about our power users, and I kind of throw you in that barrel,
I know, but I'm saying like a real power user, is also cognizant of the fact that they don't need over a gig at this current moment in time.
So we get a $2 super chat, another one from Brad with that 100 thing. He's wondering. Thank you so much for your generosity, Brad. He's wondering when we think Verizon Internet will be available in Pennsylvania.
If you're
I
talking
have
about FiOS, never.
I
If
have
it's
an
fixed,
idea for you though. Okay, so Dennis, you're right, but I think he's talking about the 5G home. So the only
that's
thing I could tell you, Brad, is to go to your county website, see if you could find permits. Usually, when those permits go in within the next 6 months, you're probably going to see an upgrade for that site. Whether it'll be complete or not, I don't know, but at least you know it's coming. So,
Oh,
yeah,
another thing you could do, and this is based on how restrictive with upgrades your city is attend council meetings and tell them the benefits of having cellular infrastructure updates,
hey,
and maybe that might move things along.
Pete. I'm going to tell you something though, and you're not going to like it when I say it. But if you actually live out in the sticks and you're in what I like to call Amish country, so like 15 minutes away from the Amish, it doesn't matter if you get your local city on board because Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile, they're not going to be convinced to come in. Trust me, this was something I did when I was younger. I literally went to local boards trying to get Verizon Fios to come, trying to get wireless to come, trying to get anything that would be considered broadband speeds to come. No one was interested, and that's why I was stuck with Armstrong.
Hey, the worst thing that could happen is if you show up is you waste your time and they don't hear you. There's nothing wrong with getting engaged in local politics.
Dennis, we got an update from Chame. He's saying it's not N77 for uplink; it's the millimeter wave for uplink. They're just going with deeper channels for uplink.
Oh,
So going 200 megahertz.
The Twitter post that I was linked in said something different, but
No, that was
okay.
two separate posts. One was an N77 post. The other one was a millimeter wave post.
Gotcha. Well, my bad. I misremembered or misread, or both.
Yeah, I did. I had to take a couple of takes on that too. I'm like, wait a minute, because the C-band speed test was like 1.2 gigs. So I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Yeah, but we're starting to see huge upgrades. There's some vendor stuff going on, some software and firmware upgrades going on. It's good to see.
I'm excited, man. It makes millimeter wave just that much better for fixed wireless use, and
Yeah, yeah.
I won't argue with you that I think fixed wireless millimeter wave specifically is very much a real competitor to the cable, but I'm still gonna fight you to the tooth and nail on the mid-band stuff for now.
Hey, Dennis, there's no animosity, man. You know I welcome the banter, and I totally
Oh,
respect your opinion.
I know. I don't mean it in a bad sense. And also, for anybody that doesn't aware, because I feel like people get, weird when they see stuff. Me and Sneed are really good friends behind the scenes. Like, we talk just about basic stuff when we link
Yeah,
articles. So
yeah,
there's never animosity on the show.
no.
There's
We're gonna.
animosity between me and Dennis, so that
Yes,
goes deep.
Yeah, he sends me the spiciest communist memes.
I may sometimes make Dennis look like a suit.
Like a what?
A
suit.
suit.
What, like a capitalist?
Yeah.
That statement isn't too far off. You are even more left than I am. So
Uh, and actually, this is coming from a person who, if you say that's the Fed in the game of Spot the Fed, most of the time you're correct.
Oh, wanted to throw this out there. A big shout out to Lawrence, Chanel 808 Life, Hawaii. He just sent me over a speed test of his T-Mobile home internet. He's really liking it.
Oh, yeah.
600 megabits down, 100 megabits up throughout the entire day. Time of day doesn't really matter. I mean, it does get faster at times, but he's paying $50 a month. His other options in terms of fiber is $90 plus taxes, fees, and surcharges related to the gear that they send you. So, man, he's saving huge amounts of money and getting pretty good capacity. He's only had it for a couple of days, so I'm going to ask him probably after about a month or two of usage. I want to know what his true experience is like. So, like high resolution video playback, putting a load on the network with multiple devices, certain uses, uploading content, because I know he makes YouTube videos. I'd love to see what he says about that, because if you guys remember when I had the T-Mobile home internet, I didn't have N41. So when I was connected to it, I had problems with video buffering and stuff. So I had to just return it. So we'll see how it's working for him. I do have some coverage up and coming. I'm going to post it to Patreon first, and then it'll probably go live on the YouTube channel here in a couple of days.
You know what I would really like, since we're talking about this really quickly? I would really love it if T-Mobile would make first-party external antennas and come out with a gateway where you can easily hook it up to improve the signal, because that would make such a dramatic difference in the actual quality of service and really solve a big pain point. I mean, T-Mobile says they're targeting rural customers, right?
Right.
Well, rural customers would really appreciate a directional-based antenna so they could get the best signal quality to get the best performance instead of being stuck on crappy low band.
Dennis, you got a good point, and they're more inclined to be willing to try an external antenna. They kind of understand the situation. I'm 4 miles from a tower site. I need a boost.
I'd throw up my own Yagi if I could do an external antenna.
Right.
And the thing is, man, like I looked at external antennas, they're not cheap. They're like $300, $400, and a lot of times they're not even like perfect for T-Mobile's solution. So like it'd be great if T-Mobile just came with a first-party solution and made it so you didn't have to void your warranty to actually hook up the external antennae.
Hey, big shout out to Green. Pete, we got another
Green.
one.
Another one from Green, $5. Thank you for your generosity. He says, do you think carriers focus too much on download speeds and not enough on upload speeds when it comes to 5G? I have an answer to this one.
What's the ratio, Pete? 90+% downlink demand?
Yep. Yeah. So you got the ratio. This is mainly why we see the discrepancy with DOCSIS 3.1, where we're seeing the ability to go 900 or over a gig and only getting 25 up. The belief is that consumers,
35.
Either way, the belief is that consumers are not going to be uploading and they prefer download optimization. What at the moment our stage in 5G is we're just showing an improvement on what LTE can do. When it comes to slicing on 5G, which is Rel 15 first release from 3GGP for what 5G is, we will be able to have certain slices where upload would be prioritized. So, say Google does a YouTube Creator Studio slice and a YouTube Media Slice. The Media Slice would give you enough bandwidth to do a 4K download and upload a comment. The upload on the Creator Slice would be more like full throttle upload, so you can upload your content. So we're going to have to wait to see better upload speeds, but we're not going to be able to open Ookla speed test and see good uploads. It's going to be on a slice-by-slice basis.
I just want to touch on what Green said. I do actually think carriers are focusing too much on download speeds, specifically because of the fact that carriers are trying to monetize their network in new ways. And with fixed wireless being a big emphasis as one of those ways to monetize, I think upload needs to have a higher priority of focus, as well as when it comes to all the Internet of Things devices they want to be able to support.
Internet of Things are more upload heavy, but most Internet of Things objects are doing kilobits of JSON files. So
I'm aware, Pete, that it's not in any stretch of the means it's not bandwidth intensive Internet of Things devices, but I'm just
they're
saying,
latency intensive according to the specification.
They are, and having more upstream bandwidth would help alleviate issues with loaded latent. Like if your network is constantly saturated on the uplink, then you're going to be constantly dealing with issues with just how to route this traffic and how to manage it because the connection is saturated, it's loaded. So to prevent buffer bloat issues and other issues, it'd be great if they had more capacity available on the uplink.
We got another super chat from Brad. Thank you so much, Brad. He also posted this as a standard message, but probably felt like we should get a comment on this. It says 20 minutes away from him, there's some N41, but not near him. Do you have a large church or educational institute around you? There is a chance that the N41 spectrum for that could only be leased on auction 108.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate the super chats and you supporting us, man.
Brad, I'm just going to say, too, as someone that's a fellow Pennsylvanian, do not get your hopes up that T-Mobile will deploy 5G UC in places that are rural. That just hasn't been...
Dennis,
what's up?
As I said, there is a chance that in these rural locations, the FCC didn't give a church or an educational institute the spectrum, so there's no license to use it there.
Fair, but even if we exclude that, I'm saying that T-Mobile in Pennsylvania for the longest time was very heavily dependent on AT&T roaming and did not deploy much native sites.
Yep.
And even to this day, there are still a lot of places where AT&T roaming exists, and the only bit of native coverage that T-Mobile has is strictly low band, specifically being their band 71 and band 12.
Hey, I'm just saying that in some locations, and I don't know his particular location, and
he said it earlier. He said he's in Skruken, something. I think it's like Skunk or Skrukenville or Skunkville or something. I don't remember what he said.
Yeah, but not knowing his particular location, with the N41, there's always a chance that there was no license given there, which is why 108 is coming up.
Brad, can you comment again what city you were in, man? We'll look it up while we're talking. Schuylkill County. Schuylkill.
Let me look that one up.
I'm just saying, man, T-Mobile's network deployment in Pennsylvania has consistently been focused on urban centers. So Pittsburgh, State College, Philadelphia, and Erie are the places that get love from T-Mobile, and everything else in between gets its low band coverage. And the fact that they even got low band coverage is a miracle, because before that it was just all AT&T roaming. I've said this before, and everybody can disagree with me all they want, but Pennsylvania is very strongly an AT&T state. Like, they have the most consistent coverage across the state, and it's followed very closely up by Verizon, because Verizon also has a lot of coverage across the state. The only problem with Verizon is that they have a lot of band 13 only sites. That being said, Verizon has been upgrading, and there are more sites popping up every day in places I would have never expected to see it, where Verizon is deploying C-band. So if you really want to keep your fingers crossed, pray that C-band comes your way. Pray that you have a band 66 site, because we know for a fact that Verizon's upgrading every site that has band 66 is going to get C-band, and that's based off of Roger Etner and what he learned. So we know that for a fact. It's just a matter of when at that point.
This is a really good question. I'm not sure, man. Maybe people asked me this question in the past, probably not for a couple of years, but what inspires you to have a whole channel and do a podcast about such a niche topic? Well, so I'm interested in it. I always wanted to be more informed and learn more. And then I realized that nobody was really doing it on any type of scale. So I was going to be on a lonesome journey unless I did a channel, I suppose. Plus, we were able to kind of like build a community of like-minded people, those that were interested in the same things and found enjoyment in learning and experiences and sharing. And then we made connections and friendships along the way. Honestly, there isn't really much like this in terms of like if you were to go to the Google Play Store and download a podcast app, or if you were to go to, like the Apple Podcasts or something, like there's a couple of like 5G podcasts. I mean, but they box themselves in really tight. I mean, my channel is pretty niche, but we cover cable and ISP. We cover traditional mobile network. We cover 5G stuff, LTE stuff. I do, network testing, live streams. I mean, we do a lot. News.
Security talk.
Yeah, I mean, we cover pretty much 100 topics on any given week. From plans and prices to networking speeds, qualities, and experience, and all these. And then I try to bring like industry people into the community because like they become really important resources. And you never know, man. You might be helping someone. Like sometimes I do like a video on like the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. You know how many people worked for T-Mobile that were like in the dark on all that was going on with the merger that literally subscribe to my channel. They're like, I have to watch your videos and listen to your podcast to know what's going on with my company. Because they withhold everything and they're just not going to disclose it. So like we would uncover a lot of that stuff. So yeah, that was my inspiration to do it, was always helping people be more informed. Try to uncover the things that companies don't typically disclose to the public. I mean, there's a reason why they don't tell people things, because they don't want them to know, because it's going to impact them in a negative way, but it hurts the consumer to not know. And I've always been a pro consumer type of guy. I mean, I am a consumer.
I would say Sneed is one of the strongest consumer advocates out there, hands down. He, I know some people get offended by what Sneed has to say, but he calls a spade, and he always does it with the motivation of what's best for the consumer in his heart.
And I know how to put on my corporate hat, like, and understand where the companies are coming from. Like, I get what they're doing and I understand why, but I'm always going to be a consumer advocate because I'm a consumer and so are my friends and family. I'll never take the side of a corporation. That doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean?
There are times, I think there are times where you have defended corporations when justified. And the most recent example of this that I can think of was the 3G shutdown.
Yeah.
You did defend corporations on that, I would say.
Well, only because I know what it's going to do for the consumer.
That's fair.
But
side note, I don't know if it was intended for everyone on the panel. For me personally, I would have never I didn't really have interest in doing a channel, but talking to Stetson and having us work together made for a healthy dynamic, since he had the YouTube algorithm knowledge and skills, and I'm just a great talker. And then I met Sneed thanks through Stetson's channel, and we came on, and then me and Sneed became a thing. And I don't know why or when, but somehow, some way, it just became a regular thing where I just come on the show, and here we are in this magical day that we live in today.
Hey, Brad, real quick. The N41 Spectrum in your neck of the woods is up for auction in 108.
There you go. It's got those white space licenses, man.
This is all on the FCC database. You just have to know how to dig through it.
So TLDR is that unless T-Mobile can actually make a clean sweep in that auction, he'll never see N41.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's not Pine Grove, which is a township. It's Schuylkill. N41.
That's the spelling?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the spelling.
Wow, man. Wow.
I think it's pronounced Schuylkill, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Schuylkill.
Yeah, I would have messed that one up for sure.
Hey, Pennsylvania's got some interesting named places thanks to our rich history.
They have
N41 is your mid-band spectrum that gives you that ultra capacity at T-Mobile markets. And it's basically going to be your only hope for having a good fixed wireless experience on T-Mobile and their home internet product.
They have 3 bands slated for auction.
Yes, N41 is band 41, but for 5G. N stands for new radio, so N41.
So all 3 parts of that frequency is going to be up for auction end of July. So that's one of the cases of they haven't deployed it because they can't, not because they won't.
No,
Uh,
T-Mobile is your least hope. Verizon is your only hope.
Not even AT&T, Dennis?
I mean, if AT&T offers fixed wireless, maybe,
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
but
you're right.
I mean, with options that used to exist not really being widely available due to a myriad of issues, look, I'm just gonna put it bluntly, and I know this is gonna be an unpopular opinion, and people can hate me for it, but I'm just gonna say this right now. As someone that grew up in a rural place that legitimately got to experience what dial-up was, what DSL was, and got to pay a premium to have the luxury of cable, with that perspective in mind, you having Xfinity, you're not in the worst off shape. There are people out there that came and get Xfinity and are probably crying at the bit to have that when their only options are Houston and Viasat. So I know it sucks not to have choice, but Brad, you're not in terrible shape. At least you're getting actual by definition broadband speeds and then some. And I know you want to save money, and I think your best bet is just to play the dance, threaten to cancel, or actually cancel and just re-sign up as a new customer. And then you got your speeds and you got your better pricing. I know that was probably unpopular, but yeah.
hey, Lois, they looking for security engineers? Eh?
Yeah, that'd be good. You work for Charlie, Pete.
We're both in Colorado.
All right, you wouldn't have to drive very far.
He hangs out in what, Vale?
Lakewood.
Oh, I know.
It's
Yeah, I'll work with them.
What's up, Danny? Welcome to the show. You want to talk about anything else? Any devices? The upcoming iPhones, Google phones,
What
Well,
are we
Galaxy
gonna?
phones?
I know you wanted to talk about the Android watch, and I'd feel
The
bad if we didn't.
Pixel Watch, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's your
man.
show, so go ahead, man.
Dude, I'm so excited about the Pixel Watch. I know some people say it looks cheap. I don't care, man. As long as it's durable, it's good.
I
But I'm
want
excited about the
durable.
software and I'm excited about the experience. And I want to see, like 2-day battery life, and I want to see great notifications, and I want to see cool capabilities. I'm just glad that it's circular because the Apple Watch, and
Oh yeah,
I don't care if I trigger anybody on this particular item. Like, I get the functionality of the Apple Watch, it's great. It's ugly. It's hideous. And
yep.
actually, to be honest with you, square timepieces make 0 sense.
I
I've
hate
always
them.
had circular watches, so I don't get the whole square thing.
Every wind up, high quality watch I've had, circular. It just feels right, especially when I'm looking at those hands going around the dial.
Yeah, so I'm
Yes, I
excited
look at
about the
analog
design, and
time.
I'm with you, man. I think a timepiece should be circular, you know?
Um, I've heard that. I'm hoping that they get features I loved from Pebble, people features I loved from Fitbit in there, since now they now own both of them.
Yeah.
What features does Fitbit have, Pete, that you
It's
want?
the health tracking stuff, isn't it? All the
Yep,
Yeah.
they have proprietary health tracking stuff on par with Apple Health, which is missing. Which, to my knowledge, is even missing in Samsung watches. So,
And plus it's gonna have long-term support because it's Google,
yep.
you
I
know?
mean, we got 5 years of support on the Pixel One, and typically, the battery runs out on about that time. So,
Can I say a hot take?
Go ahead, Dennis.
As someone that has the Samsung Galaxy Active 2 or whatever it's called, Wi-Fi edition, I think Android smartwatches as a whole all kind of suck, to be honest. Um, I've seen the Google Pixel watches. I've seen different renditions of Galaxy watches where they
you
run
just
inside
want
them.
your iWatch.
I don't even have an iWatch, Pete. I think that smartwatches as a whole need to go back to the drawing board to think
So,
about their purpose. Is what I'm getting for here.
so that's what I was getting with the Pebble stuff. The In my opinion, the smartwatch has three main features: notification. Telling the time, notification, and all day battery life, which is what Pebble had. having some health tracking things like knowing how crappily I sleep is icing on top. I just want time, notifications, and battery life. And if Google is the one doing the software and the hardware and the operating system, I'm fairly certain we can get some decent battery life.
Also, Sneed, real quick, I'm looking at my Galaxy Watch. It's round. It's a round watch if you really want a round watch. But
Yeah, but I wanted the Google version of this. Like I don't like the Galaxy as
I
much as
don't
I
want
like
the
the Google.
bloatware on the Galaxy Watch.
But yeah, I agree. The round of the Galaxy watches are nice. I like the design, you know.
Brad came with the super chat. Thank you for the generosity. He says, "So my only hope would be Verizon Internet." Lol. I mean, honestly,
Let's see by the end of the year.
I'm just calling it right now. You're probably going to be waiting another 2 years for Verizon. Like, I don't feel like that's unfair to say, and based off of how the deployment's going, you're probably looking at 2 years, and that's just my take. And like I said, I would just cancel, sign up at a different family member's name, do the dance or something to get the reduced pricing, and just kind of
Bide your time.
bide your time and be happy that you have broadband. Like there are worse options out there. There are people that are begging to have Starlink because the only thing they have is HughesNet and Viasat. Like it's really, really not bad.
Yep. Hey, Brad, if you're already on Verizon, yeah, go with Xfinity Mobile. You won't notice the coverage difference, and then you
Dude,
might be saving some money.
Xfinity Mobile is a high recommend. A high recommend. That and US Mobile both are really good options.
And I mean, he's only getting LTE speed, so don't go too far out of your hotspot range. Oh, Los. I am a network slice guy. So if you're asking about that, yeah, network slice security. If they can help me deploy something, they might be able to score some major DoD contracts. Anywho,
You guys want to do anything else before we kind of end the podcast? We're winding down here.
I mean, I feel pretty good about the myriad of topics that we talked about.
you got any carrot cake cupcakes you can send me?
I guess I'll ask one question that's worth asking. Are you excited at all about this year for new iPhones? Like, do you have any interest or excitement built up for
I
that?
don't get excited about iPhones. Never
I
have, never will. Actually, you know what? I did get excited when they transitioned from the 11 to the 12, only because I knew they were going Qualcomm for the internal hardware, like the modem and stuff. But like since then, all I ask is that they continue to use that modem, you know, and stay away from Intel. But I think in probably a year or two, they're gonna go back to that,
Oh God.
you know, but it'll
so
be their own. So it'll be the Apple version of Intel.
Oh
I
God.
so Dennis, the last phone I got hyped about was the 6 Pro, and before that, it was
3XL,
no,
4XL,
no,
the
Next
first
three,
Google phone,
Speed.
the
iPhone
OG
3GS.
Pixel.
So the 3GS was like, wow, this seems like a architecture breakthrough, and it's actually functional, and it's not just running Safari apps. And then everything just seemed normal. Then I heard about the Google 6, Pixel 6, having a more AI optimized processor and machine learning, secure enclaves baked on the chip, and I got psyched. Apple, they've done secure stuff, but they do not allow developers to invoke it using kernel extensions, which is what got me hyped over the Pixel. The only way you can invoke Secure Enclave on an Apple app is if Apple gives you saints you or blesses you to be able to access their enclave.
So for me, I was actually excited about the 13 Pro Max after it came out, Sneed. And the reason was because it fixed two pain points, or basically it felt like what the 12 Pro Max should have been. Better battery life, dual eSIM
Ac-
support, high
access to
refresh
iMessage.
high refresh rate screen. The
Access
dual
to iMessage.
dude, dual eSIM was the reason I made it my daily phone. Which for the
Right.
question that came in from Tenton Mullet, what phones do we personally have? I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max. That's my daily driver now, where I keep one of each of the carriers' numbers on there. I got my main T-Mobile, my AT&T, and then I got my Lotus Red. And then I have two Galaxy S22 Ultras that I strictly use for testing purposes, as well as an iPhone 12 Pro Max.
I've got two iPhone 13s, the Pro and then the Max. I have a 12 Pro, and then I have the Google Pixel 6 Pro.
I have a 6 Pro and a Z2 Galaxy Z2 Fold 5G.
Got you, no one, man. I got you, man. I'll take a look. See that time lapse of the Verizon C-band deployment.
Jason D, real friends don't let real friends use MediaTek.
Yeah.
Real friends.
All right, got one last thing to shout out. We had 9 people drop super chats
Oh, that's
tonight.
major, man. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thanks very much for supporting.
We got Santiago Hernandez, Daryl J, Darian Smith, Jason D, MS, Kevin O'Donovan, Green 9227, Brad, and Gellert Tech or Entertainment or Gabriel.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you very much. Glad you're enjoying the content, no one, man. Pete, go ahead and give us 2 hashtags.
Hashtag save the beard.
Save the beard.
Hashtag feed the bear. Let's get some picnic baskets, boo boo.
Yogi. Yeah, Dennis,
Dennis,
2 hashtags, man. Go ahead.
where are my picnic baskets? Are we gonna steal some?
Let's see. Hashtag where's Waldo? And that is a throwback to where's AT&T's 5G at. And then also let's do a hashtag best phone plans. If you guys are feeling up for extra content, I feel like we had like a top 5, maybe top 5 to 10% episode just this week with Ahmed Katak on for US Mobile. I really thought it was really good, and Sneed was on the channel for an after show. If you guys haven't checked it out, highly recommend seeing it. And I also would very much love if you guys could share it with a friend, give it a thumbs up. It means a lot.
There you go. And I'll do a couple of hashtags. I'll do hashtag 2LiveCrew for everybody watching this in the live broadcast, and then hashtag replay crew for everybody watching this after on the DVR edition. And let's do hashtag ravioli gang. That's a classic. If you were eating dinner or snacking while you were listening and watching the podcast, we appreciate you and hope you enjoyed the show. That's it. We're done. We out this piece.